Hey, welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into something that sits at the very heart of, well, pretty much everything: data validation. Basically, how can you be sure that the data you're betting your entire business on is actually trustworthy? Okay, let's kick things off with a little bit of a puzzle. Picture this. You've got failed deliveries, financial reports that just look off, and maybe even a security scare. Now, on the surface, those all seem like totally separate problems, right? Different teams, different headaches. But what if I told you they all share the exact same single root cause? What do you think ties them all together? You guessed it. The culprit is bad data. It is the silent killer of productivity and profit. Just one tiny mistake, a typo in a zip code, a decimal point in the wrong place, it can kick off a domino effect that ends in a really expensive, really frustrating business disaster. So here's our game plan for today. First, we're going to look at the real tangible cost of bad data. Then we'll meet the bouncer that's going to keep it out. We'll take a quick tour of the toolkit, see how it's done, and then we'll flip this from theory into actual practice. And finally, we'll talk about unlocking your data's true potential. All right, let's get right into it with the most important question. Why does this even matter? I mean, really? Well, because bad data isn't just some tech problem that's buried deep in a server somewhere. Nope. It's a direct hit to your bottom line. It's quietly costing you money day in and day out. I mean, just think about it for a second. Invalid data completely torpedoes your operations. It makes you waste money on marketing that's aimed at the wrong people. It messes with your financial report so you can't see what's really going on. And trying to get two different systems to talk to each other, forget about it. It's a total nightmare. Every single point on this list is a direct blow to your efficiency. So how do we start to fight back against all this chaos? Well, what we need is a bouncer at the door of our database. So let's get our terms straight and figure out what that really means. So what is data validation exactly? Well, put simply, it's the procedure, the set of rules that checks your data right at the entrance to make sure it's accurate, consistent, and reliable. This isn't just a random spot check. It's a systematic, planned defense for your company's most valuable asset, its information. And this clears up a super common point of confusion. Let's stick with our analogy. Data validation, that's our proactive bouncer at the door. It checks the data's ID before it's allowed into the club. Data verification, on the other hand, is more like the supervisor who's double-checking the receipts the next morning. One stops the problem before it starts, the other cleans up a mess that's already been made. You absolutely need both, but they do very different jobs at very different times. Okay, now that we know what it is, let's pop the hood and take a tour of the toolkit to see how it's actually done. We can group these checks into a few really key categories. So our first category of checks is the most basic, the most fundamental. It asks a really simple question. At a glance, does this piece of data just look right? Is it what we expect to see? And this breaks it down perfectly. A format check is just asking, hey, is this date written the way we said it should be? A type check asks, is this person's age a number, or did they accidentally type out the word 30? A range check makes sure a percentage is, actually between 0 and 100. And the presence check? Well, that's the most basic of all. Is this required field even filled out? Okay, so the individual pieces of data look okay. They pass the first test. But now the next question is, do they actually make sense when you put them together? This level is all about looking for logical consistency. Right, this is all about stopping contradictions in their tracks. So, a uniqueness check, make sure you don't have two customers with the exact same ID. A consistency check ensures that a customer's address is the same everywhere it appears in your system. And a cross-field check just enforces simple logic, like making sure a project's start date is actually before its end date. Seems obvious, but you would be shocked at how often that happens. And finally, we have our third category, which is all about defense. It asks two questions. Is the data safe, and is it structured correctly? This is where we protect our systems and make sure the data actually fits into the mold we've built for it. And these two are absolutely critical. Input sanitization is basically stripping out potentially harmful code to block common cyber attacks. And schema validation, well, that's like a quality check against a blueprint. If the data isn't in the right shape, our apps just won't be able to process it, and everything downstream just breaks. So here's a quick cheat sheet for a few of these techniques. For checking patterns like emails or phone numbers, you'd use something called regular expressions. Just think of them as a super-powered search tool. For enforcing your business rules, those cross-field checks are your go-to. And for security, Input sanitization is your non-negotiable first line of defense. Okay, we've got the theory down. We know the what and the how. But how do we actually put all this into practice in the real world? It's time to build a strategy. A great place to start is with a simple data quality audit. First, and this is important, don't try to boil the ocean. Just pick your most critical data to start. Second, get it all in one place. Third, and this is the key, dig in and find the root causes of the errors, not just the symptoms. And finally, create a real concrete action plan to fix what's broken. And, even more importantly, to stop it from breaking again. And really, this is the secret sauce. A structured process like this turns data validation from a frantic, one-time cleanup project into a simple, effective routine. It's about building a sustainable system and really a culture that treats high-quality data like the core asset it is. So as you build this out, think of it like a quality control factory. First, your rules need to be crystal clear and simple. Then automate everything you possibly can. And don't just check data once when it comes in, check it at multiple stages, when it arrives, when it gets transformed, and before it's used. And remember, this is not a set it and forget it kind of thing. It needs to be constantly monitored and improved over time. So, after all this effort, what's the payoff? Why go through all this trouble? Well, because when you get this right, the rewards are absolutely huge. What you get from clean data is a company that is just fundamentally smarter and more efficient. Your analytics become way more accurate. Your business processes run smoother. You start making better, more informed decisions. And maybe the most important thing of all, you build a culture of confidence and trust in the data that is supposed to be powering your entire business. And this quote just nails it. Clean data isn't just a nice to have. It's the foundation for accurate reporting, effective automation, and ultimately customer success. In the end, data validation isn't an expense. It's a massive investment in your company's future. Look, your data is telling you a story about your business every single day. So the only real question left to ask is this: can you actually trust what it's saying?